What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So now that we've gone ahead and we've got our hands on these brand new Super Sugo-fest exclusives, we can go ahead and test some of these characters out and see the synergies between them. So we know that we've had Jay Garcia Satin for quite a while now, but having the ability to now use him alongside the characters he was built to be used next to, we can see how the synergies are starting to develop. So I think that honestly, the combo here of the current 5 elders, so we have 3 of the 5 at the moment, these characters are very good together, and the damage that you are capable of doing is pretty phenomenal. But the glaring issue that I have found thus far is the lack of utility. I think that could be a very major issue moving forward. Now, yes, they're not completely void of utility. You obviously have other abilities, such as like their specials themselves do remove defensive effects. You've got Satin removing Rainbow Shield. You have Peter removes Threshold, Nustura removing increased defense. That's all well and good. You do also have some poison removal from Satin, and then you have the EX supers of Satin and Peter. You've got Satin that removes the attack down, Peter removing the paralysis. So there is a couple of key things that you can do. But of course, in order to get the EX super to activate, you need to activate one of the other specials, because you need either a very high attacker or boost, or you need the overheal buff. In order to get that, you need to use a special, right? So it's not like if you're inflicted with a utility, with a debuff earlier on in the quest, you will have to use some type of special in order to allow you to use an EX super to get around that type of effect. Now, in long form content, this can actually definitely be a problem, because one of the big things about these 5 elder characters is that they have extraordinary high special cooldowns. That is circumvented via the captain abilities, which gives like 15 turns of cooldown to these characters at the start of the quest, which is nice. So in short form content, not really going to be a major issue. However, if you are planning to use them in long form content, like a training forest or a Garp challenge or something, if you're trying to use like a special earlier on in the content, it's not like you can get their special back later, because of the way that they're designed. With a 30 turn cooldown, you're just not gonna get that back. So I really think that these 5 elder characters, you really shouldn't be using them in long form content. You're not going to get much out of them. But yeah, as I said, in short form content like a Kizuna Clash, like a treasure map fight, these characters are going to be very, very good. So I do think that that is at least one good thing to say about these units. It's just, yeah, that long form is going to be a little bit rough. So as it stands right now, with all of these characters together, we have substantial attack and all boosts, and we have a little bit of chain from Nustura's EX Super, which is pretty cool. And you can see here we're using the Rush Sugo special of Satin, which is a very high amount of damage increase. And I like that Satin's Rush can be used either as the first tap or the final tap in the chain, depending on the team comp and the enemies, because if you use him as a captain, both him and Peter are super effective against all types when you have the right amount of attack or orb boost, which is really, really strong. Alternatively, you can use Nustura's final tap here, which does give you a pretty decent buff, which is the 2.25 times chain multiplier at final tap level 5. So that can give you a pretty good amount of damage. But of course, if you're looking for doing even more damage, then having super effective Satin as a captain, using his rush tap as the 6th tap in the chain, that is going to far exceed anything that Nustura is capable of doing. The only thing that could potentially change that is if one of the other 5 elders that are going to be dropping in the next couple of weeks has some crazy absurd chain related buff. That could definitely change things. The fact that, you have Nustura, who does have his EX super giving you a little bit of chain, meaning that could synergize well with another one of these 5 elders that also gives like an absurd tap timing chain buff with chain boundary, maybe a multiplicative buff, something like that would be pretty nice. But of course, using these characters together, I think that once all 5 of them are released, having the capabilities of switching certain ones out into the captain position to get around certain gimmicks, I think is probably going to be the way moving forward. Because as it stands right now, Nustura is the only one of the 3 currently that has a utility effect inbuilt in his captain ability. And I do think that it's quite possible that the other 2 characters that are going to be dropping in the next couple of weeks are likely going to be built very similarly to the way that Nustura is built. I feel like Peter and Satin are the characters you're supposed to be using in the captain position. These are probably going to be the guys that have the most usefulness in terms of the most amount of damage that you can achieve. But maybe if we're in a short form content, being able to use Nustura as a captain to get around the 10 turns of bind it could be a potential valley that we go through. Like, potentially one of the other two characters could remove Despair, because we don't have a Despair removal effect yet. One of the other ones might be able to resist like Special Reverse or Special Bind, something like that. And we do know that the three currently that we have, Nushjuro, Saturn, and Peter, all three of them have a special that removes one of the key defensive effects: damage reduction, damage threshold, defense up. And what are the other two going to have? Are we going to remove like damage nullification and barriers? Are they still going to focus more on removing enemy defensive effects? Or are they going to pivot and being able to remove debuffs on your side of the field? So if you're taking a look at like all the different gimmicks that you can be inflicted with, you've got like attack down paralysis, all the defensive effects being dealt with here with these characters. So what else is there to really be thinking about in terms of removing gimmicks? You've got like Special Reverse, Special Bind, Burn, which that would be really bad if one of the characters removes Burn. That's one of the ones that's like kind of like whatever. Like there's a couple of other ones you can think of, but I think the main ones, like the more common debuffs, are the ones you have to think about, like Despair as well, right? Despair, Special Bind, Special Reverse, something like that would be my guess in terms of what we can see moving forward. And then in terms of the other buffs that we still have to get, so as we said, we have attack and orb boost, we have a very minor chain buff. So my assumption is we're going to get even more chain buffs, and conditional boost, I think, is something that could be on the cards. I think that considering that we have Peter and Saturn that have the ability to be super effective against all types, it is a little strange that we don't have any color affinity focused effects yet. I think that would be a shoo-in. I think that having one of the characters have an effect that enables you to get that would be really, really cool. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what's in store for that. And it's kind of interesting to see how the EX Supers kind of compare between each other, because we know that both Peter and Saturn have a very, very similar EX Super, where they have the 50% resistance down for Driven, which is an absurd amount of damage, by the way, and being able to stack that together to like double your damage is just so good. But then, of course, you have the utility effect, where you have the paralysis or the attack down removal. And then Nushjuro does something a little bit different, where he says that any of your attack boosts can be buffed twice, and then you get the 1.2 chain boost. So it's going to be interesting to see what the other two characters that are going to be coming in the future are going to be like. I think that we could see something very similar to Nushjuro, where it's like maybe your orb boost can be buffed twice and then get some other type of buff. And then the other one could be, you know, buff affinities twice and then get some type of buff. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see exactly what is in store. But the thing is like, these characters don't do like a crazy amount of buffs. Like it's, yeah, attack boost, orb boost, and that's basically like the main buffs that we have right now. But you have to keep in mind, like the absurd numbers that these attack and orb boosts are able to achieve is insane. You're going to see towards the end of this clip here with the Jinbei Coliseum, I actually hover over the attack buff on the final stage. The attack boost that we're able to achieve with this setup is 14.25. Like, imagine showing someone like a couple years back that we can achieve a 14 times attack boost. And you just think like these major super boss teams that we're using relatively recently, like the attack boost that we're able to achieve and the orb boost were like maximum of like a 6 times boost or something like that. We're getting a 14 times like boost. Like, this is crazy. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, these boosts are like multiple captain effects activating simultaneously. Like, just thinking how absurd these buffs are actually that they're applying to these teams. So even though we don't have like conditioner boost, all of this, and I forgot even to mention set target status from Nushjuro is another major component in his kit, which gives you a further 1.75 times increased damage. You have the resistance downs giving you free damage, and then like these attack and all boosts of 14 over 10 times, right, of these different buffs. You don't need like a whole list of these different buffs to magnify your damage. Obviously it definitely helps, but hey, you know, having these massive multipliers for each of these effects, it's a big deal, man. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the team is going to be like surrounding these characters. I'm really excited to see what it's going to be about. But these characters are really fun to use right now. They don't have the best utility, so in terms of high difficulty endgame content, I don't think they're going to be used for that. But in terms of doing raw damage, these guys are going to be pretty sick to use. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video though. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about these characters down below in the comment section. Are you enjoying using them so far? The only real problem is that they're all Super Sugo-fest exclusives, so they're very difficult to get your hands on. So yeah, that's obviously the major qualm that I think a lot of people would have right now. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions about them down below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.